continue our knowledge sharing mission through a series of interviews with marketing leaders from all over the world, and we're thrilled to have Suzana with us today. Hi, Suzana.
Hi, welcome to CMO Chats. I'm Suzana Ristevski, the Chief Marketing Officer for Australia and New Zealand at Google.
Amazing. Very glad to have you here today, Suzana. And so to get started, can you tell us a bit about your journey and what sparked your interest in marketing?
To be completely frank, I actually started doing commerce law back at university, and it was one subject at the very end of that degree that I took marketing and I thought, this looks fun. We're talking about customers. So it started back then. I have to say, I have pretty much been focusing on marketing, augmenting with product strategy and a little bit of sales for my whole career. Have had the opportunity to work across a number of industry segments, which I've really, really enjoyed. Things from telco, private health insurance, banking and finance, industrial organizations, and now technology. It's been quite the ride.
That sounds very interesting, Suzana. And so going into, I guess, more of your focus nowadays, what's currently, the focus of your marketing team right now?
Sure. I've been at Google for a year, and I have to say growth is obviously still a very large focus and has always been whenever you're running a marketing function. It would be remiss of me to say that AI and how that actually impacts on marketing and how that can make us more effective, more efficient, and more customer-centric is definitely top of mind as well.
Absolutely. And I think nowadays really AI is really the talk amongst everyone else. And so that brings me to the next question. I'm curious to know, were there any particularly innovative successful marketing campaigns that your team has recently executed?
There are copious amounts of campaigns and work that we have implemented at Google. You would expect that, given that we're actually not only using the tools, but creating the tools. As simple and as complex as using AI to do our customer communications, that has always been the place for as many, many years. But now we're able to use additional data sources and additional signals in market to make sure that we're getting the right message at the right time to the right customer through the right channel. So data's been a big play. But if I think about, innovation and creativity, it's super, super important. Just recently, for instance, we did a campaign using Magda Sabanski, who is an Australian icon, to push content in our B2B customer audiences, which is mildly innovative. We use consumer channels to promote a B2B proposition.
That's great, Suzana. I think that's very interesting. And so we talked about some of, successful marketing campaigns that you've ran, but I'm also curious to know, are there any big challenges that your team is currently handling or experiencing at the moment?
Big challenges is in how do we not only keep up with competitors, surpass our competitors. And like I said, at Google, we are right in the midst of this transformation, this AI transformation. So as a marketer, we have this challenge of we want to be really effective at using our Google tools, and we're using them to create effective and efficient and brilliant marketing campaigns, and working very, very closely with our product teams to make sure that they understand what is it that the marketing team needs so that we're able to create those services. Search is obviously really interesting for us. How do we update search so that it is more relevant to customers? People are now searching using audio, video, text. We need to make sure that we're keeping up to date with that. Let's count how many times I say AI in this podcast and every other podcast that you've probably done in the last month. It really is all about artificial intelligence, not for the end's sake, but how do we actually maximize these new tools and this new product set to be able to provide amazing customer experiences, brilliant creative, all of those things that are the holy grail for a marketer, better, quicker than everyone else.
Absolutely agree. And I think we're definitely just at the very start. There's a lot more, or a plethora of things we can do with the technology available now. So very keen to see what else is, ready for us in the next couple of years. But I'm also curious to know, Suzana, nowadays, how does Google stay ahead of its competitors in terms of marketing?
We have to stay true to what our customers want. and our purpose of democratizing information for the world, easily accessible information. And we have to move at pace. So me as a CMO for Google Australia, I'm using exactly the same tools that CMOs are using to be able to make sure that we've got effective, efficient, brilliant advertising, and helping our organizations actually build better outcomes and drive revenue for the business. It's super, super interesting. And I think as a CMO, like, if you're not thinking about it now, if you're not using it now, you're already left behind. This isn't a situation where we're talking about what's happening tomorrow. We are literally right in the middle of it right now. And our competitors and us, we're using these tools and we're using it to drive good outcomes for the business and for our customers.
Always. Thanks for that, Suzana. And so I wanted to also know, or just very interested to see, what you believe are the biggest opportunities for marketing leaders today that might not have been available in the past. I think you touched on it earlier about AI, but curious to see if there's any other opportunities that you've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing that I'm finding super, super fascinating is being able to gain unprecedented customer insights. If you think back to the days where I first started, goodness me, we had to do copious amounts of focus groups. It would take months and months and months to be able to do quantitative research to find out anything about our customers. Now you're getting signals everywhere, signals on behaviors. You could even argue that, you possibly in a position where you know what your customers are going to do before they know what they're going to do. That's pretty extraordinary. And I'd say shame on us for not being able to access those insights. Like, they're the first thing that you want to be able to do, help better understand our customers so that we can provide better experiences. The other thing, I think, personalized experience. There was a time where you have to send one mass message out and, it was the same message for all of your segments, whereas now you could literally send out millions and millions and millions of personalized experiences, personalized creative, to our customers so that it's 100% relevant to them. I think that's just incredible, an incredible time. If someone had asked me 30 years ago, what would you wish for? I may not have clearly articulated in what we've got right now, but I would have certainly said being able to understand my customers would have been a top priority.
Definitely. And I think we've also heard that, coming from other marketing leaders, personalization is really key. And it also gives a semblance of how do you set yourself apart from your competitors doing the same thing. And I think also from us and what we do, it really gives a different sense of customization, especially for the customers nowadays. And so going into my next question, right, I'm curious to hear, in your opinion, what does the future of marketing look like?
I mean, I think the fundamental principles of marketing will stay the same. It is our job to be the customer advocates, to understand what the market is, to understand which segments you want to target, how to execute marketing campaigns flawlessly. All of those things are the same. What's changed is that the tools that we have available to us, and this notion that it's not one-way information anymore. Like, marketing now is a conversational and experiential way of interacting with our customers. So, gone are the days where you're able to tell everyone about what your brand represented. There are millions of people that are commenting on your brands and making decisions around your brand and, what that brand actually stands for. But that's changed. And I guess we've also got access to more tools. Like, we've kind of democratized the execution of creative. You don't need big big marketing budgets to be able to liaise with customers, create wonderful, creative. Obviously, there's going to be, AI slop as well. Like, you still need to be able to have taste, but it really opens it up to the whole world having access to tools that they can use to execute on brilliant ideas that they have, which I think is super exciting.
Absolutely, it is super exciting. And so, my next question is, in your opinion, what's the role of the CMO in one word, and why?
That is so hard, but I'm going to say growth. I think growth is the role of the CMO, and obviously that has a lot of input levers. How do you grow a business? There's different ways to grow, but I'm going to back in growth.
Very applicable. Thanks for that, Suzana. And so, what's a piece of traditional leadership advice that you believe doesn't necessarily apply to modern CMOs?
This could be mildly controversial, but I think traditional piece of leadership perhaps would be sticking to your lane. And I think as a CMO and a marketing team, that's absolutely not what you want to do. Let me sort of expand on that. If marketing is a growth engine, there are a lot of other people in the business that are also interested in growth. You need to be able to work together to be able to help the organisation grow. If growth is about providing great customer experiences, delivering what customers want, well, that's a shared responsibility as well. You need to understand what parts of the business that are delivering on that customer experience are doing, and how do you weigh in and feed in the customer insights. Data and technology is cross-functional. I can't go off and create my own data lakes and do one thing and have another part of the business do something else. And influence beyond just the marketing team. So there's no way you can survive with sticking to your own lane. You really need to get in there, be curious, work with other parts of the organisation to, to be able to grow and meet your customer needs.
Absolutely. I think definitely adapt is what's needed, especially for marketing leaders today. And from what we've also heard from other leaders is that marketing just really goes beyond the marketing role, and would have more relationships with the business side of things. And so that's also very interesting to see on how the marketing role will evolve in the next couple of years. And so we go into the last question. What career advice would you like to share with other marketing leaders?
I would say lean in and be curious. There is a huge technological transformation going on at the moment, and it's super, super exciting to be in it. It kind of blew me away. The other day I was talking to someone and they said, we will be the last generation of leaders that just lead humans, and the first generation that are going to be leading humans and AI agents. And I thought that's actually, so significantly huge, and you have to wrap your head around that now, not tomorrow, not like this isn't happening tomorrow, this is happening now. And if you're not, like, your competitors will get a competitive edge and, beat you. So my advice to anyone out there is get in there, get your hands dirty, be curious, and, lean in.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that, Suzana.
Thank you for watching CMO Chats by the Ortus Club. Catch my full interview on Spotify.